In speaking to groups recently about practice planning, there seems to be a real reluctance to move away from kind of a traditional practice plan where you move from block to block and you move from simple to complex. So, a typical practice might be, you start out, with a dynamic warm-up or some stretching in some cases, unfortunately. And then you move to maybe a ball handling drill, then a passing drill, then a shooting drill, and eventually you get into team concepts. So you move from simple to complex as the practice progresses. And this is a fairly typical practice plan, and it is one that, again, coaches seem reluctant to disturb. Personally, I like to intersperse the complexity with simplicity. So it's not a linear progression from one skill to the next skill to the next skill and then finally putting all those skills together. But instead, I start with, maybe a small-sided game, and then from that small-sided game, then maybe I reduce the complexity or I simplify and go to, a block of skill. And then I go right back to a game of some form. And then, so there's not a linear path from simple to complex, but it's undulating throughout the practice, interspersing games with more kind of breakdown drills, and then back to a game form, and then more breakdown drills. And so I think this enables me to add more randomness and variability to practice. I think it also engages players more when there's games interspersed throughout, as opposed to going through maybe a 90 minutes of drills to get to the last 10 to 15 minutes of scrimmaging. Especially with younger players, players sign up because they want to play. And so if you delay the scrimmaging till the end, there's a chance they might lose focus because they're saving their energy or they're focusing just towards the end of practice and not on what you're doing in the immediate activity. And there might be, it might be hard for players to see the transfer of a drill at the beginning of practice to the end of practice if there's no connection, or no immediate connection. So I might do, some ball handling drill, isolated, no defense, and so it's hard to see what's the purpose of this drill if it's not put into some form of game situation right away. And I go to a passing drill next, and so I do some dribbling, but I don't play a game with it, or I don't incorporate a defensive player. I don't really do anything that would happen in a game, and then I go to a passing, and then I go to something else. As opposed to if I, let's say I'm playing a game first, and then maybe I see that there's something that we need to work on ball handling wise through that game. So now we do a simplified drill, and I can connect that drill to the mistakes that were made in the game. And so to me, that's one way to keep motivation high, is by playing those games early. It engages the players and motivates the players, but I'm also able to connect the drill specific work or the breakdown work that I do with what just happened in a small sided game or a scrimmage or something like that, as opposed to doing all these drills, and now I get to the end and I scrimmage and I see that we're making a mistake, but I'm out of time. I don't have any way to go back and work on that drill. Instead, I wait till the next practice, which may be after a game, but I come back the next time, and now I'm trying to connect a drill at the beginning of practice to something that happened, maybe yesterday, or maybe it happened last week if it's a practice at the end of the week. So to me, I like interspersing practice and mixing up the games throughout practice, as opposed to going in a very linear progression from simple to complex. I want to get the complexity early and often, and keep the complexity as high as possible throughout practice, based on what I'm seeing from the players in that practice on that day, with where they are in terms of their skill development and execution, but also in terms of managing fatigue and other issues that I might have to manage or consider from the beginning of the season to the end of the season.